My dear students of English language, today we are going to discuss the elements of fluency, and it is very important for any speaker, for any user of English language or of any language to become fluent. If you're not fluent, definitely you yourself will be facing so many problems while talking to others or while speaking to others and communicating your thoughts and ideas to others. Similarly, your listeners or your audience, they will also not feel good, and they will not take much interest in whatever you are talking about. So it is very important to learn these elements of fluency. Alright, so we have 7 elements in all. The first element is the element of thought and having ideas. So it means that a person who wants to become fluent, he should develop the habit of having thoughts and ideas quickly. So if you are present minded, you are quick and sharp minded, and you are able to have thoughts and ideas very quickly, you can become fluent, right? Otherwise you will face so many problems. So it is important that you keep on talking to others, keep on developing your thoughts and ideas, and in this way, with the passage of time, develop the habit of having ideas very quickly in your mind. The next element is the element of habit. It means that if you are uh, trying to become fluent, or if you are making effort, if you are struggling to become fluent, you should become habitual of using this language. Without developing the habit of talking in English, you cannot be fluent. The third element is the element of opportunity. It means that when you are talking to others in English language, right, whenever you have a chance, whenever you have an opportunity, you must take full advantage of it. And if you don't have an opportunity, you must provide yourself with the opportunity. It means that you have to search such people who can speak in English to you. It is very important to have a language partner so that you may provide yourself with an opportunity. So opportunities are scattered everywhere. For example, nowadays you can talk to others on the telephone, you can talk to others by using internet, you may have your friends in other countries who are able to speak this language. If you don't find such people in your surroundings, in your environment, in your culture, you should have interaction with the people of such cultures where English is spoken as a first language. So the next element is the element of familiarity of subject in question. It means that if you want to become fluent, you must be very much familiar with the subject, right? For example, if you are talking about law, you are talking about medicine, you are talking about any other field of life, you must have complete knowledge of that subject. You should have proper vocabulary. You must know the details of that subject. So until and unless you have complete knowledge of that subject, you're not familiar with that subject, you cannot be fluent. So fluency depends on familiarity of subject also. The next element is the element of hesitation removal. There are thousands and thousands of people who are all the time complaining that they have much hesitation and they cannot communicate to others, they cannot convey their thoughts and ideas, they cannot speak in English because they feel hesitant, they feel shy. So for hesitation removal, for shyness removal, it is very important to keep on talking to others, and this is the only way. You must expose yourself, you must put your thoughts and ideas in front of others, you should put forth your thoughts and ideas to others. So until and unless you are mentally prepared to remove your hesitation, you cannot do it, and it can be done only by a practical way, and that is keep on talking to others, right? Spend most of your time talking to others. So in this way you will become confident and your hesitation will be removed. The next element is the element of first language and second language. So when we are learning a second language, first language sometimes creates problems. So while learning a second language, you must forget your first language. For example, if you want to learn English language, you must forget your native language, whether it is English, it is Urdu or Arabic or Punjabi or whatever it is. You must forget your first language and do not let it create a hurdle in the way of your second language. So when you are learning a second language, you should pay full attention to it. Whatever you are to understand, try to understand by using simple expressions, by using simple English, and in this way you will be able to learn and you will be able to master the second language. So complete knowledge of second language, forgetting the first language, is very important. An element of exposure and practice is the last element. It actually means that we should be always prepared to communicate to others. we should always be prepared to practice it. Whether you have a chance or not, you must provide yourself with it. You must expose your thoughts and ideas. You must expose your knowledge. You must expose whatever you want to say to others. Whatever thoughts and ideas you have in your mind, you must expose yourself to others, right? So talk to them all the time. Give expression to your feelings. Give expression to your emotions. Give expressions to your thoughts and ideas. And in this way, you will be able to become fluent. So these elements, several elements, are very important, and we should use all these elements so that we may become fluent in English. After this, we have a sample passage so that we may discuss it in detail. So I should read it to you so that you may have a sample here. So let me do it for you. Jackie is very hard working. Sometimes she works 9 hours a day. She's always reliable and she never forgets anything. And she's very friendly. She's always pleasant to other people. So students, you are to pay attention to basic and fundamental aspects of English language, and they are actually the phonetics and pronunciation and intonation. Now we have another passage, that is sample passage 2. So I shall read it to you so that you may learn and have an idea how spoken English can be improved and how our expression can be improved. So Diana Pai is a marketing manager in a computer company. She lives in London, but she is from Manchester. Her father Jack is a musician and her mother Mary is a teacher. They are from Glasgow. Diana's sister is a student in Paris. She goes to a college of arts. Her brother Peter is an actor who lives in Oxford with his wife Julia. She's a doctor. So students, you would have noted that there are so many things that we need to learn. For example, while I was saying Diana Pai, so I produced two very important sounds here. One is the sound of P. This is called an aspirated sound, right? So the sound of P, when it is pronounced as, or when it is uttered as P, it is called aspirated sound. So we need to learn how to use aspirations. And after that, I use the sound T instead of T. So T is actually also an aspirated sound, and similarly the sound of K, right? For example, when we say the word car, we don't say car, we say car. So these are actually P, K and T are called aspirated sounds, and they are aspirated when they follow a vowel sound. Next is the third passage, that is to give you an example, to put forth an example on how to improve our spoken English and how we can change our style. It says you need to be able to work in a team and you have to be hardworking. It gets very busy here at lunch times. We don't stop running for 3 hours and you can't sit down for a moment, and you are tired and hungry, and you still have to be polite and charming to the customers. So students, you will note that there are certain things that you need to improve. For example, when I say or when I utter certain words, I use some different sounds, and for that purpose you basically need to learn these things. And all these things, they actually depend on speech mechanics, right? For example, contractions, assimilation or blending of sounds, connecting sounds, weakening of sounds, omission of sounds, and you should have an idea of standalone and context pronunciation also. So these things are very important and they build a very good impression on others. So the first thing that builds very good impression on others is the pronunciation. And the pronunciation has other things, which are use of plosives, aspirated and non-aspirated sounds, use of glides, use of rounding, use of intonation and stress. Now, speech mechanics have, as we have discussed, that there are certain expressions which are contracted. So the contractions basically are like personal pronouns and verbs. So it says I am, but when we use it in spoken English, instead of saying I am, we say I'm. I have, I've, I shall, I'll, I would, I'd, you are, you're, you have, you've, you will, you'll, You would, you'd. He is or he has, he's. He will, he'll. He would or he had, he'd. She's or she has, she's. So students, you will learn that these full expressions are contracted because certain letters are removed or excluded, and after that we pronounce them in a different way. And these contractions are actually used in spoken English. In the next column we have she would or she had, and it is spoken as she'd. It is or it has, its. It will, it'll. We are, we're. We have, we've. We shall or we will, we would or we had, we'd. They are, there. They have, they've. They will, they'll. They would or they had, they'd. So these are actually speech mechanics, and these contractions are very important for spoken English, and we have to learn them, and you should develop the habit of using them while talking to others. Here we have the idea of assimilation or blending of sounds. So it is very important for fluency. Like we have the expression, would you like a cup of tea? So instead of saying would you like a cup of tea in spoken English, we say would you like a cup of tea. So you can see that would you, it has been pronounced as would you. It means that some certain sounds have been removed and sounds have been mixed together, and a combination of would you is would you. Like a cup of tea, right? So we say it, would you like a cup of tea? The next example is I've caught you. So instead of saying caught you, we say caught you. I've caught you. So the sound of t is, we can say, removed, or it is mixed together with y sound, and in this way the combination of caught and you becomes caught you. So I've caught you. The next expression is I'm going to buy a new car. So we say I'm gonna buy a new car. So instead of saying I'm going to, so we join these words together and we say I'm gonna. So going to is mixed together, these two sounds are joined together, and a result that we have is gonna. So I'm gonna buy a new car. Handbag is pronounced as handbag, or it is uttered as handbag. So here you can say that the sound of d has been removed and the sound of m has been added instead of n here, and it is pronounced as, or it is said as, handbag. So grandpa, so you can see that the sound of d has been removed and n has been changed to m, and it is the mixture of these sounds, these two sounds of grand and pa, is grandpa here. Now let's see what connecting of sounds is. So here in first example we have a cup of tea, right? So a cup of tea is actually pronounced as, or it is said as, a cup of tea. So cup of, the sound of has been removed from here, and the sound of p has been connected with the sound of v, that is the sound of. From the word of, sound has been removed and the sound of v has been connected with p, so that is why it becomes a cup of tea. Next example is like a cat. So instead of saying like a cat, we say like a cat. So the sound of a has been connected with the first sound of k, and it becomes like a cat. An elephant, in an elephant we say that we see that a, or the sound of a, has been removed, has been separated from the sound of n, and the sound of n has been joined with the next word, and in this way it is pronounced as an elephant. Next example is that of an apple. So it is pronounced as an apple instead of an apple. So we say an apple. So let me revise these sounds for you. A cup of tea, a cup of tea, a cup of tea. Like a cat, like a cat. An elephant, an elephant. An apple, an apple. On the next slide we have weakening of sounds. So let's see. I'm going to London. So instead of saying I'm going to London, we say I'm going to London. This is for you. So instead of saying this is for you, we say this is for you. He's from Manchester. So it is said as he's from Manchester. So going to, for you, from, to, for, and from. So these three words in these expressions have been weakened, and instead of using their strong pronunciation we use weak pronunciation, and we say I'm going to London, this is for you, and he's from Manchester. So on the next slide we have the idea of omission of sounds. So let's see how some certain sounds are omitted from expressions so that these expressions may be said in a fluent way. So instead of saying salt and pepper, we say salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. Similarly, and her mother, we say and her mother. Busiest street, busiest street. Aspects, so you see that the sound of t has been removed and we say it as aspects. Must be, again the sound of t, the sound of t has been removed and must be is pronounced as must be. Standalone and context pronunciation. So we have two types. The first type is standalone. It is used when we speak or utter some words alone. We don't use them in a sentence. When they are used in alright, so flower is the hard, or flower is used when it is used alone, flower. But when it is used in a sentence, we say I bought some flour this morning. So in context or in a sentence, the pronunciation is changed. So instead of saying flower, we say flour. I bought some flour this morning. Towel, there are some towels in there. Them, I want them to come along. So in this way, in standalone or in expressions where we don't have complete sentences, we have just words, in that condition we use strong pronunciation of words, but when we use them in sentences we use their weak form, as we have done here with flower, towel and them. On the next slide we have some peculiar sounds which are very important to learn and they build a very good impression, and these are the sounds of the, f and j. So while saying this, we use the upper teeth with the tip of our tongue slightly and we produce the sound of the, and in this way it is used in all these expressions like this, that, these, those, there, them, then. The next is th sound and it is used as thick, thin, thing, thank you. And the third one is je, as in measure, pleasure and occasion. So these peculiar sounds are very important to learn because they develop a good impression on the native users of language. Now these three, as we have already discussed, these three are called plosives, the sound of p, k and t. So whenever they follow a vowel sound, they are produced as p, k and t instead of p, k, t. So the examples of p are post, pin, pen, paper, people, pocket. And similarly the examples of k sound are kick, cat, coat, cup. And the examples of t sound are to, tin, ten, top and ticket. So you would have got this idea that whenever these three sounds, the sound of p, k and t, whenever they follow a vowel sound, they are produced as p, k and t and not as p, k and t. Now we have the idea of glides, right? So gliding sounds are actually double vowel sounds and they are A, H, I, J, K, O. So we can say that these glides are actually combination of two vowel sounds. For example, in H we have the sound of A and A, and then we have ch sound. So in the second letter H on the slide we produce a sound A. So that is actually a glide and it is used in the first letter also, that is A, H. And similarly in I we have A and A. So it's a combination of A and A. These are two vowel sounds. A combination of these two vowel sounds, I, is called glide. Similarly J, J and A. J, the first sound is J, then A and A. So A and A, these two sounds, when they are produced together, so they give us the sense of a glide, and that's why we call them glide. Similarly in K, K, A, K. So A sound is actually a glide. So it glides from K to A. Similarly O, and U, a combination of two vowel sounds. So these sounds, when they are joined together, and they are called glides. On the next slide we have the concept of rounding of sounds. For example, in all, we do not say a sound in the beginning or in the start of the word. So instead of saying a, that is American sound, we use the British sound, that is O. So we make a round shape of our lips and we produce the sound O here, and we say all, ball, wall. Similarly, doctor, we don't say doctor, we say doctor. Pocket, not. Author, we don't say author, we say author. O, f, a. R is silent here. Author. Authority, what, where, water. So we have to make a round shape of lips while saying these words, and these certain sounds which require making a round shape of lips, these are actually called the rounding of sounds, right? So on the next slide we have intonation. The intonation in words, like we say excuse me, sorry. So when we say this, right, we use intonation on words and we make others feel that we are feeling sorry for them, right? So if you for example, if you're moving and you just hit somebody or you bump into somebody, you must say excuse me, sorry. So when you said this in such a way, it means you are feeling sorry for your action. But if you say it in another way, like if you say excuse me, sorry, it means that you couldn't listen properly, you couldn't understand that person, and you want him to repeat whatever he has said. So it plays very important role, or intonation plays very important role in communicating your thoughts and ideas to others, and it gives or it changes the sense when the stress is changed or when the intonation is changed. So in sentences we have the examples of it is raining, I want bread, butter, eggs and jam. So you can see that this type of intonation is very important, so that you may give an idea to your listener that you have knowledge of proper intonation of the native speakers. In questions it is entirely different in spoken English. For example, in writing you have a positive sentence, but while talking to others, if you change the intonation, you change the sense. For example, instead of saying, when you say it is raining, it means you are making a statement. You are telling somebody that it's raining. But when you say it's raining, so the intonation changes the meaning entirely. Now it has become a question, right? So when you change the intonation, it becomes a question. So sometimes the intonation goes upward and sometimes we have to take it downwards. When the sound or the pitch of sound goes downward in the end, it means it's a statement. For example, if I say it is raining, so the intonation is downward and it makes a statement. When it goes upward, like I say it is raining, so in the end the sound is going upward, the pitch of the sound is going upward. So when the pitch of the sound goes upward, it becomes a question. Now incomplete utterances. So when in the end of a sentence we take the pitch of the sound downwards, it gives the idea or it gives the sense, it makes the sense that the utterance is complete. For example, if I say take the first turn on the right, so in the end I've said on the right, it means that the statement is complete and the person has been instructed to take a turn on the right. But in the next sentence, if I say take the first turn on the right, now see that I have taken the pitch of the sound upwards, so it gives a sense of incomplete utterance. Take the first turning on the right, so it is incomplete utterance because the sound, the pitch of the sound is going upward. So if it goes downward, it makes a statement and it gives a sense that your statement is complete. But if the pitch of the sound in the end is upward, it gives the or it makes the sense of incomplete utterance. So let me give you the idea once again by repeating these two this statement. So it says take the first turning on the right, take the first turning on the right. So these two have different senses. Now the idea of stress, what stress is? It's not mental stress, it's not nervous stress, it actually is the stress over the sound, right? The sound of the words. For example, we have our present here. So when the stress is over the first letter or the first part of the word, that is present. So let's suppose that it has two syllables. One is pre, the other is zent. When the first syllable is stressed, it becomes present. And when we shift the stress of the breath from pre to zent, it becomes present. Present, present. So it means that the sense of the word is entirely changed when the stress is changed, right? If the stress is over the first syllable here, it gives us the sense of a noun, that is a present, or that is a gift that you give somebody. For example, if you say that I presented him a present, I presented him a present. So it means presented has been used as a verb, whereas present has been used as a noun here. So grammatically it helps us, and it gives us the sense of the object also that we are talking about. In these sentences we say this is your book. It means the stress is over the sound, and it gives the idea to the reader that this thing is being pointed out, or we are pointing out towards a certain book, and we say this is your book. And when we shift the stress from this to is, it gives us another sense. This is your book. It means we want the person to realize that this thing that exists here, it is his book. This is your book. On the third sentence, the stress has been shifted from is to your. This is your book. It means we want the person to realize that the book is his possession, it is his belonging, and it belongs to him. It is his property. This is your book. And in the last sentence, the stress has been shifted from your to book, and it gives the sense like this is your book. It means the person is not treating the book as a book. He is treating it as something else, and perhaps he is throwing it down. And we want him to understand that this is his book and he should respect it. This is your book. So with these examples we have learned that when the stress is shifted from one syllable to other syllable, it not only changes the part of the speech, it changes the meaning and the sense of the word also. Now our discussion on elements of fluency has ended. So thank you so much. I hope you will have learned a lot from this today's session, and it's my humble request to you all, to all of you, to please be very much kind and considerate to me, and like and subscribe my videos and my YouTube channel also, so that you may have such useful and such full of knowledge videos on English language for yourselves. Thank you so much once again.